Last week in Detroit, James Stewart motored to his 7th victory of the season. Ricky Carmichael and Chad Reed showed dogged determination to get back atop the podium to no avail. With the finale in Las Vegas growing ever closer, can RC stay the course and hold his lead? Can Chad Reed come from behind? And will James Stewart continue his hot streak? We're in the Lone Star State, next on Speed. They say everything is bigger in Texas. Tonight, the big three in the Amped Mobile World Supercross GP Series and the Amped Mobile AMA Supercross Series continue their title fight in Houston's Reliant Stadium. To win it all will take guts, determination, and heart. Here in Texas, you won't win if you won't go big. Hi everybody, I'm Ralph Shaheen alongside former Supercross Lights champion Denny Stevenson. Ricky Carmichael, James Stewart, and Chad Reed come into this round all squared up and ready to battle it out one more time. 4 races left to go. Do you give anybody an advantage here, Denny?
Well, let's be honest, Ralph. James Stewart is on fire. He's won the last 2 rounds, led all 40 laps. Chad Reed, on the other hand, that shoulder injury, it seems to be healing up real quickly, and he gave Ricky Carmichael all he needed last weekend. And Carmichael, on the other hand, people say he's riding easy, trying to get that title under his belt. He rode his heart out last weekend to get second. And James, he just needs to keep winning if he hopes to catch those guys and hope for a mistake by either Chad or Ricky. But right now, it could be anybody's fight.
Well, let's show you how close the points are as we take a look at the AMA standings. Right now, you can see Carmichael on the factory Suzuki has a 10-point lead over the factory Yamaha of Chad Reed. James Stewart on the factory Kawasaki sits another 10 points back, 20 behind the points leader, Carmichael. Now let's show you the road to tonight's main event. There'll be 2 heat races. We will take 4 riders straight to the main event out of that. If you didn't qualify for the main there, you get another shot in the semis. We'll have 2 of those. If you still haven't made it to the main event, you get one final shot through the last chance qualifier, where we will take the last 2 riders for tonight's 20-lap, 20-rider main event. Before we drop the gate on heat number 1, Denny Stevenson earlier today had the opportunity to take a look at tonight's racetrack with Nick Way.
Earlier today in Houston, Nicholas Way in a number 27 MDK Motorsports Honda gave us a lap. Take it away, Nick.
Yeah, for the finish line here, there's a little tricky double over the first turn, followed by a triple double into the elevated corner. Kind of go inside or outside. I'd like to go inside, jump over the single, and do one of the only 180s in the track, a little bit rutted. On off, come back across, turn across the flat, a little drag its back, and do an on off, or going double over that, but the regular triple. Into another flat 90-degree turn into the first set of whoops, which are kind of breaking down a little bit, able to jump through there a little bit. Going up to the other triple. Oh yeah, yep. Double into the turn. Another 180 into the second set of whoops. These things are a little bit sketchy, kind of hard underneath, loose on top, so look a lot smoother right there than I felt. That's 1 lap right here in Houston.
Before we get started with heat number 1, let's introduce you to the newest member of the Speed Supercross team. Here's Aaron Bates with the first of our Progressive Direct pre-race reports.
Well, guys, tonight marks the 13th consecutive round of phenomenal racing, and every rider out here on the line tonight has gone through to some degree or another pain, victory, and defeat, and they're looking very forward to a 2-week break coming up. The one thing that they are going to take in, though, this evening, that this is the very last race of the season that we're going to be in an indoor stadium where we have a beautiful, controlled climate atmosphere.
And that's going to be a good story to watch, Aaron, and welcome to the Speed team. Here's a look at our Dunlop start list for heat number 1. 2 of the title contenders in this one, Chad Reed, James Stewart.
Chad Reed, the mystery shoulder man who came back, looked great last weekend. He's healing up fast, and he's looking good, and he told us today he's coming in 100% and ready to do some racing.
Yeah, that's what he told us this morning. He said, I'm ready to go. There's Chad Reed on the left on the number 22. James Stewart on the 7, right alongside. And Reed says he's ready to go, Denny.
Yeah, he looked really good last week. Really surprised a lot of us. He did take a spill in practice as a kind of a silly fall in a corner. He got up kind of holding that shoulder, but went back out and laid down some fast lap times.
Here we go, heat 1.
it jumps out early.
Byrne, Windham, and Reed right there. You have any hopes of putting a beat down on James Stewart, maybe winning one of these races? James Stewart hasn't lost in a heat race all year long, but he's back and forth. He's got two very strong riders right in front of him behind with Kevin Windham and James Stewart, or Chad Reed, I'm sorry, and out front Michael Byrne.
Byrne, of course, Stewart's teammate on the factory Kawasaki, and look at Reed closing in through the whoops on that blue Yamaha. Windham went wide. That opens the door for Stewart, and it looks like James is already going to close up to third.
There's another one of those different lines that the Stewartworks crew has created for this track. You can go wide, you can double in or triple out. So many different things to do this weekend, and James Stewart just changed it up on Chad Reed or Kevin Windham and made that move into third.
Byrne has been getting faster and faster, and Reed goes right around Byrne.
He makes a quick move as they're trying to set his way and get out front, but James Stewart's already into second, and it's on right now between Reed and James.
And here comes Stewart outside of Reed.
Now this is the line right here. These guys are rolling this first one, and now they're tripling in. Very technical situation. That third one's about twice as big as the first one. Very technical, very tough. But these 450s, man, these guys never have problems jumping some of the bigger stuff we didn't think they would do earlier today.
Danny, wouldn't that have been a questionable pass by Reed with the yellow waving in that section?
They tell you to ride careful, I think. So it's just, we'll have to wait and see what the officials say.
Up to the rider's discretion?
Like I said, we'll have to wait and see what the AMA officials say.
Doesn't matter now anyway, because Stewart is out front. And Reed getting chased. Stewart down to a 43.6, Denny.
Yeah, almost a second and a half faster than what Chad Reed just ran. James Stewart, today in practice, he had a fast lap time. Ricky Carmichael went out there and beat it. James messed around a couple laps later and knocked off another second on his lap time.
This is the way it's looked the last 2 weeks. Nobody had anything for Stewart. Will they before the night is done? Stay with us on Speed.
4 wheels or 2. Get ready for world-class road racing this weekend on Speed. Saturday, it's gonna be a street fight.
Serious disagreement.
The Rolex Sports Car Series Daytona prototypes blast through Long Beach for the first time ever.
Party at the beach, baby.
Sunday, catch a double dose of MotoGP from Qatar.
Do they get any better than that?
It all begins Saturday, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, only on Speed. For the latest stats and facts on your favorite series, log on to speedtv.com now.
Is this what your insurance company thought when you told them you had saddlebags? At Progressive Direct, we know motorcycles. That's why the Progressive...
Back to Houston's Reliant Stadium, and James Stewart continues to lead. And he's lowering his lap times, but moments ago, problems for his teammate, the early race leader, Michael Byrne,
who still tries to fire up his bike. This section of whoops right here that's very grooved on the outside. He dives the inside, the front end tucks, and down he goes. In practice, James Stewart did a very similar thing, but he did not crash. Saved it, muscled it through. Then James went over the triple and pumped his fist to the crowd like saying, yeah, I got through that one. I'm going to move on to the next section.
And there goes Stewart, down to a 43.3 now in his lap time. It just keeps getting quicker and quicker every lap.
Yeah, this is the James Stewart we saw in Canada. Just a flawless rider, just making things happen. And man, he is on fire, trying to make it 3 for 3 here tonight in Houston.
Oh, you can see him standing right up on the front nose of that bike. Here's the battle for the final transfer spot. That's Tim Ferry in the 15. Travis Preston on the 11 giving chase.
Those two lines right there. We saw Tim Ferry go wide, go double and triple. Preston with the inside, singled and tripled. They look like pretty even lines, but a chance to make things happen. At least if you're not following the guy and Tim Ferry makes a mistake, Travis Preston can capitalize.
Remember the names scrolling across the top of your screen. Those riders in green hold the 4 transfer spots straight to tonight's main event. Those in red hoping to improve and maybe pick up one of those tickets to the main. Ferry's got one right now. Preston trying to grab it away from him.
We're looking at two riders in the complete opposite realm of sponsorship. Tim Ferry, a privateer with that Unbound Moto XXX Honda, and then Travis Preston on the factory Honda. Tim Ferry holding off Preston very well. Preston did really well last weekend, trying to capitalize on that. He was the third fastest guy coming in tonight. He needs to get himself up in the box sometime by the end of the season.
Celebrating already is James Stewart. He's on the last lap here in heat number 1. Finish line jump, and James Stewart goes on to the main. Here's the battle for that final transfer spot. Chad Reed will take second. Kevin Windham should take third, and one of these two riders will have fourth. Here comes Preston on the outside. He's got the position, and he takes the spot. Travis Preston, the last trip through the whoops, gets the job done. And James Stewart got his portion of the job done as well.
Yeah, look at Stewart. He has blitzes across the tops, these whoops. Reed's more over where the groove is at, and James Stewart just went right around the outside of him, kind of pinched Reed off and took off, and yet again, still undefeated in heat races. A pretty amazing record for James Stewart.
At the finish line, James Stewart laying down a 43.3 lap time, his best of the night. Reed, Windham, and Preston will all join him in tonight's main event. Tim Ferry looking at a trip to the semi. Let's head downstairs now. Here's Aaron.
James Stewart setting a blistering pace. James, the last 2 weekends, you've won the fastest by far. Is there any part of tonight's track that you're concerned about for the main event?
I think it's going to get a little slippery, but I just got to do 20 some good laps and, see what happens. I feel pretty good tonight. I'll see what happens.
The master of the whoops, the winner of heat number 1.
Tonight on Speed, Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain heats up the airwaves. Join Dave for scorching opinions, fired up fans, and the hottest stars of motorsports. Call in or email and jump in the middle of the latest racing debate. Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain tonight, 9 Eastern, exclusively on Speed. Here's a look at the World GP point standings, and Ricky Carmichael leads this one as well. But here it's much tighter, only 3 over James Stewart, and 19 back is Chad Reed. Here's Aaron Bates with another Progressive Direct pre-race report.
Guys, 2 very uncharacteristic mistakes last weekend by Ricky Carmichael. It would lead you to believe was he starting to crack under the pressure of James Stewart's win streak. One thing for sure, Ricky Carmichael, a very fierce competitor. He knows exactly where the points stand. He knows exactly what he needs to do in order to seal the deal here on the championship in 2006. With that being said, today is April 1st, which means it's April Fool's Day, and with Chad Reed seeming to be able to set aside the pain of his separated shoulder and James Stewart picking away at the points, I can reassure you this, there will be no fooling around here tonight in Houston.
Here's a look at our Dunlop start list, and Ricky Carmichael has the comfort of having his teammate Ivan Tedesco in here with him.
Yeah, Ivan's had a good season, and I think his greatest reward is having Ricky Carmichael as a teammate. And this is a good chance for these guys to get out front. Ivan can maybe learn some stuff from Ricky. He didn't really have very good lap times today, Ivan had. He's got to find a little bit of speed there if he hopes to contend with those top 3 guys.
On board with our helmet cam tonight, the MDK Motorsport MSR Honda helmet cam on top of Nicholas Way, rider out of DeWitt, Michigan. There he is on the number 27.
Nick looking pretty good last week. He had to go all the way to last chance qualifier to look good, but he got a quick hole shot in that main event. If it wasn't for a little scuffle with Michael Byrne at the end of that race, you never know. That guy might have been up on the box with the rest of those guys.
The short run to turn 1. And out of the box first comes Ricky Carmichael.
Ivan Tedesco right there like I expected. He's now going to settle in behind Ricky and try and find a little bit of that missed, those seconds he wasn't able to find in practice. It's a perfect opportunity to do it. Ricky, on the other hand, he needs to figure out how to lay down some of his fast lap times early in the race. That's where he loses James Stewart within the first 2 or 3 laps. Ricky right now needs to go out there and lay down as fast lap times he can right now.
Well, we saw James get down to the 43-second range. And in practice today, he was even quicker than that, Denny, as we're on board Nick Way through the whoops. He's in third. He's got Kyle Lewis in front of him on the 23. Now he's back to fourth. It's Carmichael, Tedesco, Lewis, and Way.
You see Tedesco going wide. He's going to jump on, jump off. Nick Way. Kyle Lewis, on the other hand, he went to the inside, rolled the first section, used the tabletop, jumped over the jump. I think the way Nick Way is doing is a little bit faster. If Nick doesn't get in here right here, we'll see Nick maybe make a move on that section the next lap. Notice the groove to the whoops. Very deep right there to the left side of your track. That's where Michael Byrne had crashed earlier in heat race number 1.
Big triple.
Next to the blitz on the right side, the triangle right by Kyle Lewis. Kyle ride a very solid ride on that Unbound Energy Motor Triple X Honda. Kyle's had some injuries so far this year. Actually crashed and fractured his eye socket. That's a tough injury to come back from. And Kyle's doing just that. Always getting good starts. Right now holding on to that third spot.
This helmet cam gives you a great view of what the rider is actually looking at. He turns his head, you're going with it. He gets inside and takes a position.
Aggressive move by Nick Way. There was a little camelback section as he entered that. He just drove the inside of Kyle, threw him a little bit of elbow, moved him out of the way, and took over that third spot.
Meanwhile, Ricky Carmichael, Denny 44-2, not good enough.
Now, James Stewart is definitely laying down the fastest lap time in practice, like I mentioned. James Stewart had the fastest lap time. Carmichael picked up the pace and actually topped him. 2 laps later, Stewart said, I got a little bit deeper pockets tonight than I'm going to let you on to believe. We're not laid down even a fast lap time in the 42s like you said. Carmichael needs to find a little bit more speed tonight if he hopes to run the pace of that number 7 Kawasaki.
You think Carmichael will show everything he has in this heat?
No, I don't think he will. He didn't last weekend. His heat race, he went out there, laid out a couple fast laps, and basically just cruised to the finish. I think Carmichael right now is just showing what he needs to show.
Ricky Carmichael continues to lead here in Houston. We'll be right back for more V2 after this. The action continues here at Houston's Reliant Stadium. The Supercross Series visiting the Lone Star State for the first of 2 rounds. And Billy Laninovich on the 132 has just moved himself up into 4th, getting around Kyle Lewis. And just before that, past Jeff Gibson. And that puts that rider right there, Laninovich, into the final transfer spot. Lewis on the 23 right behind him, hoping to take it back away. Remember, as the names scroll across the top of your screen, those in green, hold the 4 transfer spots. Ricky Carmichael, your leader right there, has one of them. Those riders in red, hoping to maybe see if they can find one before this one is over. We are, however, on the last lap for heat number 2.
Rob, you can set your watch with his lap times right now. He's consistently ran 44s this entire race. All 7 laps, right in the 44 range. If you're going to try and beat James Stewart, you should better find about another second. But as we've seen many times before, when that main event comes, Ricky kind of finds a little bit more speed and picks up the pace. So maybe he's got a little bit more to that hood.
Well, the one thing is, too, that Ricky knows that it doesn't really matter what he runs in the heat. It's what he runs in the main. And if he feels comfortable, he'll uncork it then.
Big crash there. Ricky Carmichael missing some of these lap traffic. And just getting through that and getting win this heat race number 2.
Through the whoops and the finish line jump. Carmichael wins heat number 2. Tedesco should hang on for second, his teammate. Here's Ivan. Talked to him earlier today, had a great week of testing out in California, and Ivan feeling much quicker, and he shows with a good second place run here. And Nick Way takes you across the line in 3rd, and Billy Laninovich will bring it home in fourth with the final transfer spot out of this heat. Kyle Lewis is going to a semi. I'll show you the whole shot, how this one began.
Was all the Suzukis are lined up right next to each other right there. Carmichael and Tedesco. Carmichael pinches guys off with the tough locks, runs it wide, and comes out in front with his teammate right in tow.
And that's how they finished across the finish line jump as well. Carmichael there first on the 4 with the 9 of Ivan Tedesco. The next one across. Here's those results again. The two Suzukis, 1 and 2, Carmichael and Tedesco. Wayne Laninovich joining him. Kyle Lewis will take the rest of the gang on to the semis. Before we do that, let's head downstairs to Aaron Bates one more time.
While grabbing the whole shot and racing his own race, Ricky, you stated last weekend that basically you had nothing for James, and no excuses. You guys have made a couple of modifications on the bike throughout the week. Do you feel as though you've got something for him here tonight in the main?
Well, I hope so. Last week I had good speed but couldn't get off the gate. That was a killer whole shot that time, and looking forward to it. You know, Suzuki's been working hard, and man, we're not riding conservative, but we're not taking any chances that we don't need to take. But we want to win, and it's going to be a tough task, but I think we can do it.
Soaring with confidence with a certain spark in his eye tonight, guys.
Tuesday night on Speed, it's build or bust. Can a novice bike builder create a custom chopper like the pros? Here's their chance to put up or shut up. Watch as these rookies pour their hearts and soul into building their dream bike. So what's the catch? Now they only get 30 days. Build or bust, Tuesday night, 10 Eastern, only on Speed. So Stewart got a bad start to his heat, but the whole shot went to Carmichael in heat 2. Who will get it in the main? We'll show you the highlights of the semis and last chance qualifier when we come back here on Speed. Wednesday night on Speed, don't miss an all-new Peaks. It's a showdown between imports as a Honda Civic takes on a Mazda RX-7. Watch as egos, pride, and titles go on the line. Catch back-to-back episodes of Peaks Wednesday night, starting at 9, exclusively on Speed. Back here in Houston, I know a lot of the fans out there have been wondering about Ernesto Fonseca and James Marshall, two riders who were injured seriously earlier this year. Nothing new developing really with Ernesto Fonseca, the factory Honda rider. Talking to Eric Keogh and the folks at Honda, things are just pretty much status quo right there for now with Ernesto. As far as James Marshall goes, well, I had the opportunity to actually speak to James earlier today, and he wanted all his fans to know. He says, I'm progressing and I plan on walking and riding someday in the future. He said to let everybody know he broke his C1, C5, and C6 vertebrae. He has plates between C4 and C7, and he wants to thank everybody for all of the support. He says it's been absolutely amazing, and he wants to make sure all of the Supercross fans know how much he appreciates your thoughts and prayers. Take you back to the highlights from earlier tonight. Semi number 1, factory Kawasaki rider Michael Byrne passes as he comes back and wins semi number 1.
Finally got that Kawasaki started, huh, Ralph?
Finally. In semi number 2, it's the Cat SoCal Honda of Eric Vallejo. Took the win to take number 58 to the main event tonight. But a lot of excitement was in the last chance qualifier.
A lot of action right here. You see Kyle Lewis on the outside of your screen. He's going to hit that Suzuki rider. He's going to go flying. He lands on the side of his head, lays there for a little while. Good news for Kyle. He got back up, a little help from another friend. Regained his composure, got back off the track, but did not join that next restart.
When it got restarted, it was Ryan Clark on the Team Solitaire Honda taking one of the final 2 transfer spots into tonight's main event. So here's a look at those riders in the Dunlop start list that are coming onto the main. A lot of big names here, Denny, but of course the top 3 are what we'll be talking about. Reed, Stewart, and Carmichael.
We've talked about those 3 guys all season long. Stewart looked awfully fast. Carmichael does not want to settle in for this championship. He wants to win both titles, both the World and the AMA. And it starts right here in Chad Reed. That shoulder's looking pretty healthy, and all 3 of these guys got a shot at tonight's win.
Every week at Supercross, one thing Denny and I make sure we do is we hit the pit party. And the one here at Reliant Stadium was one of the best. Right across the street, big open area. All the riders out signing autographs like Ricky Carmichael, talking to the fans. Chad Reed, of course, taking lots of pictures. And James Stewart, smiling bright, closing in on maybe a championship. Next step for James Stewart, can he win 3 in a row? The main event is coming your way here on Speed. Normally Reliant Stadium here in Houston, Texas is home to the NFL's Houston Texans. Tonight, Supercross and a great championship fight between Ricky Carmichael, Chad Reed, and James Stewart. Here's your Dunlop start list, and the three of them are ready to go.
Yeah, they're more than ready. James Stewart knows that the only way he has a chance to win this title is to win and keep winning. He's the perfect 40 laps for 40 laps leading these last two main events. He's won the last two, obviously, and right now he's got to be the favorite. And Ricky Carmichael, he's doing everything but settling in, and he's going to have his hands full with Chad Reed and James Stewart tonight.
Time for one more Progressive Direct pre-race report from Aaron Bates.
Well, guys, if you've been following the last 12 rounds, you have noticed that the tracks have been consistently changing. The one thing that has remained the same, however, is that Dirtworks have done a phenomenal job on creating different options for the track. Take this corner right here, for instance. The guys are going to be coming in off a tabletop rhythm section coming into this corner. They have the option of taking this inside line, hoping to shave away a little bit of time, or they can opt to take this outside line, trying to carry their speed and momentum into the whooped rhythm section coming up here soon enough. Keep your eye on this corner and the other corners as well to see who's going to be using which line and saving the most time.
And I think before they even get to that point tonight, Denny, getting out of the gate is going to be a huge, huge key here tonight.
It's a very short start straight. Look at these two are right next to each other. These guys will bang bars all the way down the start straight. It's short. When it's been a short start, Chad Reed has been very good on it. Ricky Carmichael has been very good at it. James Stewart, he tends to get kind of buried in the pack in these short starts. That 450 cow, he doesn't really get a chance to use its power. Keep an eye out for Stewart possibly getting a poor start tonight.
Well, here we go. What a championship fight it has been, and now it's on to Houston.
A perfect pick and roll move right there with Michael Byrne and Ricky Carmichael.
Oh, and Carmichael got pushed wide by Stewart. Did you see that?
Yeah,
corner?
Burner carried Carmichael wide. Stewart dropped to the inside of him, moves into the spot, and now we have the stage set with Stewart right there with Byrne, Carmichael right behind the two, and Chad Reed settling in fourth.
Well, Michael Byrne has been very good out of the gate all night, and you got to wonder how long it's going to take for Carmichael to get around Byrne, and will that help Stewart disappear?
Carmichael admitted last week that he felt like he could run Stewart's pace, but he didn't get a chance to see him because he got buried in traffic. He put an aggressive move on Byrne. He is not going to let that happen 2 weeks in a row. He's now going to set his sights on James Stewart as we begin lap 2.
He's got no time to waste, and Chad Reed sits in fourth, and he's quickly closing on Byrne. The Australian rider on the blue 22, ready to make his statement in this championship fight.
And this is where Ricky Carmichael has been losing the race in the last few laps. Stewart is so quick, he opens up his lead so big, so fast, that Carmichael needs to stay on Stewart and not lose sight of him here in these first 3 laps.
Here comes Reed, right there, right behind Byrne. Kevin Windham is behind him.
When you're as fast as the first 3 guys are, Stewart, Carmichael, and Reed, they're almost 3 seconds a lap faster than the guys in 4th, 5th, and 6th. When you get hung up behind one of those guys, it normally wouldn't seem that big a deal. But boom, when you follow them around in 1 lap, you're going to lose 3 seconds, just like that. And right now, Carmichael and Stewart are pulling away quickly from this battle of Byrne and Reed.
And Kevin Windham right in the middle of that, Denny. He sits back in 5th.
It's good to see Kevin up front. The last 2 weekends, you just kind of see a look of disappointment. Obviously, he's had a hot season, tough season. He hasn't raced all year, being hurt with this broken arm. But he's coming back right now. He's looking a little bit more confident on the track, and now he's up front in the top 5 here in these opening laps.
Travis Preston and Ivan Tedesco are behind him. And here comes Reed. Oh, I thought he was going to get to the inside there.
There's that whoop section. Burner just blitzing across down the middle. He's choosing to use the rut while Reed was choosing to go the inside to kind of hold those cup blocks. And at the end of 3 laps, Ralph, James Stewart's opened up almost a 4-second lead on Ricky Carmichael. The gap is ever widening.
Here comes Reed to the inside. Got him. So Chad Reed is now up to 3rd.
And he is almost 4 seconds back of Carmichael.
Let's go back to the whole shot as the gate drops on tonight's main event.
Now watch right here. These are the 2. That's Carmichael and Stewart right there on your screen. But Mike Burns right there. He's going to push Stewart wide, or Carmichael wide. Stewart right there drops the inside and just moves out of the way of Carmichael and takes over that 2nd spot. And hey, that's Stewart's teammate. He's going to quickly make the move. He's going to go right by him, and he's going to take off.
And then watch this bump on the next corner. This is what I was talking about as this one got started. Here comes Carmichael right alongside.
Carmichael decides to go outside. Stewart drops the inside. And as of right now, that's the last Carmichael's going to see of Stewart in this 20-lap main event.
A fourth of the way done. And Stewart, 42.7, his best lap time.
It's a second and a half better than what Carmichael's run, a 44.1. And at the end of 5 laps, it's almost a 5-second lead.
Carmichael's improved to a 43.7. It's a full second difference. And you can watch Carmichael ride, Denny, and you can tell he's giving it his all.
Carmichael's not settled his title. He's a true warrior. He wants to win both the AMA and World Championships. He wants to make this thing happen. He's giving everything he can right now. He just can't seem to match Stewart's pace. But it's been a long season. Stewart's been known to end up on the ground. So Carmichael's riding a smart race. He's in second, doing everything he can. And check out this battle for 4th and 5th.
Kevin Windham on the 14 in the red and white riding gear. Closing in on the factory Kawasaki of Michael Byrne. As good as Byrne got through those whoops, Windham got through there even quicker and closed the gap up even tighter.
Byrne drops the inside. Byrne's going to triple into your screen, while Windham's going to go double, triple. It's very even. Now Windham's going to go to the outside. He's going to go on, off, and drop to the inside of Byrne. Oh, he moves to the outside. Byrne blocks him.
And he'll come out and take the position. But can he hold on to it? Yes.
What a great move by Windham. Uses the entire track, never once follows Byrne, and ends up slingshotting it. And the whole idea is to end up on the inside of the guy coming into the next section. Windham did just that and took over that 4th spot.
That's veteran experience.
Veteran experience. Kevin's one of the smartest riders I've ever seen ride a motorcycle. He just tends to lack sometimes. Some makes mistakes, but right there, a total smart move by Windham on Byrne. And now Ivan Tedesco starts to close the gap on Byrne.
So Windham is up to 4th.
Windham continues to use that outside line, completely different than a lot of these other guys, on, off.
Now we're back to James Stewart. This race taking place on April Fools, and a little bit of April Fool fun taking place between the top 2 guys in the championship chase. They both ride with Fox Racing gear. Of course, that's James Stewart and Ricky Carmichael, and they use different logos on their riding pants today in the opening practice section.
RC came out with Bubblicious on his pants, and James came out with RC on his. Little trickery for the Fox guys playing along with this April Fool's holiday.
And it was a big difference compared to what the tension was like earlier today. Denny, you and I and Aaron had the chance to sit down with James, Chad, and Ricky all in the same meeting. And boy, the tension was thick.
Yeah, I was pretty amazed at the tension. You know, and all these guys, they pretend to be friends on the track or, you know, in their podium interviews, but you could see, Ricky came in first. I had a chance to talk a little bit with him. I didn't watch Chad. Chad sat at the end of the table. Ricky was in the middle. Stewart went to the other end, and some serious tension between these 3 guys. And these 3 guys have really settled into their pace right now. But you know, they might act like buddies, but none of these guys have sent each other Christmas cards.
There's Reed. You saw how far back he was, and there's Windham. It is still almost 6 seconds now between Stewart and Carmichael, and 11.5 seconds back is Reed. Reed did make sure to tell us, though, that he feels like, Denny, that he is ready to go. We talked to him about that level 3 shoulder separation, and he said that's one of the worst separations you can get, but he said, I really have no excuses for not winning.
Yeah, within the same breath, you mentioned that, you know, a 3rd-degree separation is torn ligaments and stuff. You asked him how he felt. He said, hey, I'm 100%. So I don't know how those two go hand in hand, if you ask me, honestly.
James Stewart. Unbelievable the speed that this rider has had. Can he hold on for the win? We're halfway to the checkers here in Houston. James Stewart continuing to lead here inside Reliant Stadium in Houston, Texas. his biggest problem right now working his way through the lap traffic. And Denny, that's one thing that all three of the title contenders told us has been pretty tough the last few weeks.
Yeah, Carmichael just made up a second and a half on Stewart that last lap, but it comes down to the fact that these guys are just going so quick. They're 3 seconds a lap faster than the guys that usually run about 4th, 5th, and 6th. Imagine how much faster they are than the guys that run 15 through 20th. These guys are just coming in the lappers so quickly. The lap times in the tracks are considerably shorter. These guys are running in the mid-40s when they're usually running about mid-50s, so they're going to encounter lappers much quicker. And they don't like having to deal with it. And, you know, when you're a lapper, you tend to just say, hey, I'm racing for position. And I mean, they both got their stories. You know, they're understanding the fact that Carmichael and these guys do not want to have to deal with these guys coming through pack, but it's just part of racing.
That's a close moment right there, and that's exactly the kind of thing that guys like Carmichael are worrying about.
Yeah, when you lap up the 8th spot, Ralph, and these guys are battling for a top 10 position, these guys want them just to move over, get the heck out of the way, but these guys are battling for spots, you know, and these guys aren't necessarily battling right next to each other, but you know, every time they have to hesitate, when the guys out front like Stewart, Carmichael's going to lose at least a second, maybe 2.
And needless to say, those riders aren't trying to get in the way. It's just the difficulty of racing.
That's one fast line around the track, usually maybe a couple when they change up the lanes, but there's nowhere they can go except to stop. And these trials of Supercross, it's all part of it.
Denny, we know, as we search back for Chad Reed, who's right there in the blue 22, Reed told us as well that he hasn't had the chance because of his injury to do a lot of testing with this bike. There hasn't been a whole lot of development to the Yamaha. Stewart, they put a new motor in the Kawasaki, or found some new horsepower in that Kawasaki starting in Orlando, and they're undefeated since then. Carmichael told us today they've increased the power on his Suzuki. Is that making a big difference, do you think, with these three?
I think it matters a lot. You know, I mean, these manufacturers work so hard. They are constantly testing, always trying to figure out what makes the bikes better. Chad not only isn't able to test the motorcycle, but he isn't able to ride the bike. He's staying at home, he's resting his shoulder so he can give it all on the weekend. And that just makes you a little bit show up with your timing a little bit off. You know, Chad is not only at a disadvantage with the injury when he's racing, he's at a disadvantage. I think, well, like you said, while these other manufacturers are getting better each and every week, Chad's forced to kind of just stick with the setup he has.
You know, Denny, as we talked about that meeting earlier this morning and all the tension that was there, the one rider I thought in that meeting who showed the least amount of tension and was really the most relaxed is James Stewart. He knows he's fast. He knows he's got his work cut out to win the championship, but speed is not something James is worried about.
No, he's the rider in this championship who has the least to lose. He's 20 points back. All he can do is go out and win, and he's won pretty easily these last couple weekends. He's realized, he goes, you know what, if I stay up on 2 wheels, there's a pretty good chance I'm going to win this thing. I just need to eliminate a couple of my mistakes and back it down that notch, and he's still fast enough to win, and he's doing just that. He just had a smile on his meeting, on his face throughout that whole entire meeting.
Fine to go here, and remember, he's 20 points back in the AMA points. Coming into tonight, he was only 3 back behind Carmichael, as you see Ricky right there in the world points, and that can tighten up here even more tonight.
Well, it'll leave in a tie, really, you know, and you know, we always put emphasis on his AMA title, the world title, although I doesn't always have all the hoopla, it's still a legitimate race. These guys have raced 2 Canadian rounds, they don't count Daytona in the World Series, and Carmichael and Stewart can take that championship right to Vegas.
And the only thing that lightened the mood in that meeting as we come down to just 4 to go was when it was brought up that if James does win this championship, he won't be able to celebrate in Vegas. He's too young. If you're going to look for James, he said you'll find me at the go-kart track.
Yeah, he said he'll be at the game room. Just shows how he said, you know, Ricky Carmichael won his first title when he was 21. James is only 20. Young man has plenty of years to rack up a lot of titles, but Ricky Carmichael has done an outstanding job this year, fending off 2 of the biggest names I've seen in the sport, Chad Reed and James Stewart.
Reed doing what he has done right along this year, finishing on the podium. Only 2 times this year, Chad Reed has finished off the podium. In Orlando, he finished 5th, and in San Francisco in the mud, he finished 5th. And Denny, when you think about the shoulder injury and everything else, That's an incredible performance by Chad Reed.
But those 2 fifth-place finishes is the big costly, and that's why you see these guys fight so hard in every race for every position, because even though it's 16 rounds, 18 or 17 in the world, it could come down to 1 point the last race, and you don't want to look back and say, what if I just would have passed that one guy? And these guys have all rode a tremendous season. Chad Reed coming back from shoulder injury, James Stewart coming back from just a lot of pretty violent crashes, and Ricky Carmichael just being the man.
An impressive performance by that man, the number 14 of Kevin Windham. He returned to the series at Daytona, or at Orlando, I should say, finishing 9th, and then a 12th in Detroit, and here tonight on his way to a 4th place finish. Michael Byrne, very strong out of the gate tonight, both his heat race, semi, and in the main. And he's looking at a top 5 finish here as well on the back of Kawasaki.
Yeah, we saw Burner go down this heat race, had a problem restarting that 450. We see some of these 4-strokes. It's an issue getting these big 4-stroke motorcycles refired. You have to go to the semifinal. Burner's currently 6th in the points, just 4 back of Way and 13 back of Ivan Tedesco.
James Stewart looking for his 3rd win in a row. The streak began in Orlando when they put the new horsepower in, and he hasn't been beaten since.
60 straight laps out front. That alone is an incredible accomplishment with the competition he's racing this season.
On his way to another victory is James Stewart. Tightening up the championship chase even more, the rider out of Florida.
It's down to 17 with 3 to go. 17 points, 3 rounds left. He's got his work cut out for him, but he's getting it done the right way.
And a 2-week break and the 6th win of the year for James Stewart. And if you count the 2 rounds in Canada, that's 10 wins this season. Ricky Carmichael will finish 2nd and knows that this championship fight is going all the way to Las Vegas and the end of the season. Carmichael once again congratulates James Stewart and wonders, what have I got to do to beat this guy again? Here comes Chad Reed, and Stewart is celebrating once again at the top step of the podium of a Supercross race.
All 4 manufacturers in the top 4, Kawasaki, Suzuki, Yamaha, Honda. Nice representation by all these manufacturers out here tonight.
James Stewart, the winner in Houston. We'll talk to him when we come back to Reliant Stadium. As you take a look at the final results here tonight, on the back of James Stewart's pants as he came out for the main event, it said Mission Control. Boy, he was definitely in control of his mission here tonight, wasn't he, Aaron?
Absolutely, Ralph was. A win streak continues. Here he is back on the podium. James, the fastest by far out here this evening. What have you done differently to turn this all around tonight?
You know, I got a good start. You know, Kawasaki's working great, and I'm just happy. The track got slippery tonight, so it was a little tough, but got out there and just had fun. That's all.
All smiles out here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. James Stewart, your winner.
And the one thing he did was tighten up the points a little bit. He's now 17 behind Ricky Carmichael. Chad Reed, 12 back. He lost 2 points tonight. Carmichael still leads the AMA standings with 3 more rounds to go. Here's Aaron with the man who leads those AMA points.
While having his work cut out for him this evening, Ricky, once again, you're sitting in the 2nd place. The world points are now tied, and you're 17 ahead in the AMA points. What do you do now? Do you just sit back and relax and ride more conservatively and wait for James to make his own mistake?
Man, I'm going to keep pushing. You know, I definitely want to get a win fair and square and, you know, not look for the mistake. He's definitely making me work hard, and, you know, we don't want to take any necessary risks, but at the same time, I want to win. I'm not fluffing or anything like that, man. I'm trying my hardest, and just a shame I couldn't pull it out for the team and my fans. You know, I've been working hard, and but I got to give it up to James. He's riding good, and we got a little work to do, so we'll try our hardest.
Ricky Carmichael, spoken like a true champion, taking home 2nd place.
And Aaron, anybody that knows RC would not expect him to be anything but driven. And there's our Buku Big Air replay. It's James Stewart skying to a win here tonight. Of course, the series has a 2-week break
A lot of work can be done in 2 weeks, Ralph. A lot of work.
That it can. Here's Aaron one more time.
While Chad Reed making his way over here. Chad, looking forward to a well-deserved 2-week break. You had a little crash in practice this afternoon, injuring your shoulder one more time. Have you surprised yourself at how many points you've been able to salvage?
Not really. You know, we all want to do well, and you know, the goal for me is just to be on the podium. You know, it doesn't really matter which step, just as long as I'm on there, and just, you know, do it for the team. You know, I took a digger this morning, and kind of when I was going down, I felt I was going down on my right side, and whole way down, I'm like, don't fall on your shoulder, and I like put my head out. So my head's pretty tough, but not that tough. Kind of rang my bell a little bit, and you know, but that's life. You know, I'm learning every week how to be stronger and faster with you know, with my riding.
An unbelievable performance once again by a true warrior, Chad Reed.
They have been impressive, and here's a look at the World GP point standings, and look at that. James Stewart and Ricky Carmichael tied atop the standings with 3 to go. Chad Reed sits 21 back. Here's our Toyota moving forward. Supercross lights coming your way from Houston, and we'll be moving the Supercross series on to Dallas. It's all about the road to Vegas coming up in May here on Speed. Coming up next is Speed News. For Aaron Bates and Denny Stevenson, I'm Ralph.
Parents, my family.